I'm Marissa, Eat This, That, Not That social media director, and we are about to go live with Amy Goodson, a member of our medical expert board. Amy is a registered dietitian and certified specialist in sports dietetics. She focuses on overall health, wellness, and sports nutrition. She's worked with the Dallas Cowboys, the Texas Rangers, and other professional athletes, and more. And today she will be answering questions that you, our followers, all submitted about fueling up for fall sports, what to eat pre and post workout for you and your kids. So let's go ahead and bring her in right now. Hi.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Welcome, Amy. We're so happy to have you. Like I just said, for those tuning in, Amy is here. She's a member of our medical expert board, and she's going to be answering questions that were submitted all about fueling up for fall sports. So Amy, is there anything you'd like to say just to set the stage before we jump right into these Q&A questions?
Sure. So I think when we talk about sports nutrition, everyone thinks you have to be playing a sport, right? But sports nutrition can really apply across the gamut. So fitness nutrition, if you're going to the gym. Now, granted, if you're going in for a 45-minute workout, that looks different than if you're going, for a 3-hour run for a marathon training or to football practice. But sports nutrition principles can be applied to anyone and everyone that's active and that's really looking to see how can we maximize fuel, performance, recovery, etc., both pre and post workout, no matter what type of training that you're doing. So while it's called sports nutrition, it really can apply to everybody.
Perfect. So the first question that we received is, how soon before my workouts should I eat?
Okay, so I'm going to give you the perfect answer, then I'm going to give you the solution, because it's not always perfect. So the perfect answer is that the science says we really want people eating about 2 to 4 hours before a workout. The idea is that they're able to eat a decent enough amount of food to give them the energy that they're going to need to get to and through the workout without it feeling heavy in their stomach and whatnot. So eat enough to allow it to digest, give you energy, and move on. Typically, we're talking about a plate that, for the average everyday exercisers, maybe a third carbohydrate, a third protein, a third fruits and vegetables. For heavy training, that might be half carbohydrates, a fourth protein, and then a fourth fruits and vegetables. Here's the key. Not everyone can eat 2 to 4 hours before that workout. So maybe you work out right after work, well, then lunch might be your pre-workout meal. Or, maybe you work out at lunchtime, then breakfast might be your pre-workout meal. But what about, I went to the gym at 5 a.m. this morning. I did not get up 2 hours before. So my rule of thumb is, the closer the meal is to the workout, the easier to digest that meal needs to be. So if you're going to just be having a snack you haven't eaten in a while, maybe you're just having a granola bar and beef jerky or something as a snack to give you some energy and get you there. In the morning, early morning workouts, lots of people exercise before they go to work. So my general recommendation is that we want you to eat something. If it's going to be a lighter workout or a cardio workout, having some type of granola bar, banana, bagel, something like that to give your body some carbohydrate and drink some fluid is going to be key. If you're going to be doing a heavier workout, maybe you're headed to the weight room for an hour, hour and a half, or maybe you're going to be doing really intense training. So interval training, HIIT training, CrossFit training. In that situation, I would put a little bit of protein or healthy fat with that carbohydrate to help it stabilize your blood sugar a little bit more. So I might put peanut butter on the banana. Instead of just having a granola bar, I might have a protein bar that is a little higher in carbohydrate for energy. Or instead of just having a bagel, I might smear some nut butter on it or something like that. So you want to go into the workout fueled, but depending on when you're able to eat and when you're going to be exercising or training, you kind of have to adapt that based on your schedule. So the key is you need to eat, but the closer the meal is to the workout, the easier and more simple that meal really needs to be to digest so that you feel good when you're at your training session.
Awesome. Similarly, someone said, how much protein we really need to fuel an active lifestyle?
Yeah, so we get lot of questions about protein in the world of sports nutrition. So protein needs are really based on two things. So they're based on the type of activity that you do and your physical body weight. So when we talk about like the type of activity that you do, this could be like, thinking like more endurance training. So that could be running, cycling, swimming, etc. When I say strength-based training, I'm talking more heavy weightlifting in the world of sports. That might be like football, baseball, powerlifting, etc. There are people that do a lot of the in-between, right? So they're doing cardio and strength training, etc. So people that train more often do need more protein because you are having more muscle breakdown on a regular basis. So the little challenge in the world of calculating it is that in the United States, we don't use the metric system and everybody else in the world does. So you've got to get your weight into kilograms first to be able to calculate it. So here's your little math lesson for today. If you take your weight in pounds and divide it by 2.2, that gets it into kilograms. So weight in pounds divided by 2.2, I'm sure there's a little math equation for this online, gets it into kilograms. Then for the actual protein recommendation, if you're more an endurance flared athlete, you love cycling, you're running, you're training for a marathon, you go swimming a lot, whatever that is, the recommendation is about 1.2 to 1.4 grams of protein per kilogram body weight.
Okay.
Now, if you're a strength athlete, that's 1.6 to about 2 grams of protein per kilogram body weight. So if you're a heavy strength training athlete and or you're looking to gain muscle mass, think about it as about a gram of protein per pound. It's not exactly, but it shakes out good enough. Now, if you're kind of in the middle, like you're doing a lot of strength training exercise, but you are doing cardio, I would put you in the middle, maybe around that 1.5 gram of protein per kilogram body weight. And if you're exercising, but also trying to lose body fat. So some people obviously use exercise as a way to lose body fat. We would want to make sure that you are consuming adequate protein to spare lean muscle mass so that you're not burning as much lean muscle mass as a source of energy. So you would fit into that about 1.5 gram of protein per kilogram body weight. So yes, protein is essential, but it does vary based on the type of exercise that you are doing.
Okay. And does it matter when you have protein as long as you get enough?
Good question. So yes, protein distribution is really, really important. So your body is constantly rebuilding and repairing muscle throughout the day. We think about it as like after a workout, but it's really constantly happening throughout the day. So nutrient distribution, protein distribution becomes really important. So the protein research that's out there really looks at getting around 30 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then adding some in at each of your snacks throughout the daytime. So 30, you might go, oh, that sounds like a lot. It's not quite as much as what you would think of. I mean, like if you eat 4 ounces of protein at dinner, like there's your 30 grams. Some people struggle a little in the morning, but you can think about getting protein with eggs, with Greek yogurt, with milk, with protein powder mixed into smoothies. You can think about it with lean breakfast sausages, putting things like, peanut butter powder into your oatmeal, nuts, seeds, all of those different solutions. Nut butters, like I put peanut butter powder and peanut butter in my oatmeal and some different nuts and seeds. So your goal is about 30-ish grams, or say 25 to 30 grams of protein at your main meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and then trying to get in, I would say, at least 10 grams at your snacks. There's a lot of research that supports that. And the reason also is not just for repairing and rebuilding muscle, but protein helps slow down digestion. So in comparison to the other macronutrients, so think your macronutrients are carbohydrates, protein, fat. Carbohydrates are the fastest digesting nutrient because your body uses them for energy. Protein is the slowest digesting nutrient. So when you can put protein at each meal and snack paired with a carbohydrate, you get a much more stabilized blood sugar over the course of the day and after eating that meal or snack. So if I only eat a bowl of cereal and eat a banana, my blood sugar is going to go up and then come back down pretty quickly. But if I had a bowl of cereal, half a banana, and 2 scrambled eggs, because of that protein, it's going to help stabilize my blood sugar. That helps with portion control, and it helps you stay fuller longer after meals and snacks. So outside of the scientific reason, from a satiety reason, it's really helpful to get carbohydrate and protein at each meal and snack for that stabilized blood sugar. That's important. Your energy levels follow your blood sugar levels. So if your blood sugar is more stable, your energy is going to be more stable over the course of the day as well.
Cool. That is so interesting and helpful for people at, you know, any activity level.
Exactly.
Don't consider yourself an athlete. That's still so great to know when it comes to nourishing yourself. Next, we have a question from a parent. They say, my son is always on the move. What quick meals and snacks can I make or buy for him to take with him?
So I work with tons of middle school and high school athletes, so I definitely understand this challenge, lots of high schools as well. So I think the key for parents when it comes to fueling kids is, number one, having foods that your kids will eat. Number two, doing a little prep in advance so that you have things ready to go. Now, I'm a dietitian that does not love cooking. So I'm not about these hours and hours and hours in the kitchen. No. But some simple solutions. So for example, at breakfast, if you've ever made egg cups. So this is a great way to get protein in adults and kids in the morning, where you do the eggs, you add whatever veggies, cheese, protein you want, you cook them up on the weekend. I mean, you have put them in an airtight container every morning, pop out 2 or 3 of those little egg cups, heat them up for 20 seconds, boom, you have protein for your kids. You can do that on a Sunday. Going to take you 25 minutes or so, and you've got just quick on-the-go protein for the morning. Another thing that I like at breakfast is the concept of overnight oats, because you can make them so many different ways with milk, yogurt, nut butter, nuts, seeds, berries. You can add dried fruit, fresh fruit, coconut, chocolate chips. I mean, you really can do whatever. So the oats are going to give you that good carbohydrate and fiber, and then adding some protein, whether that's via milk, via yogurt, via protein or collagen powder, nut butter. But you can make these the night before so that you give your kid a little thing of overnight oats and out the door they go. Smoothies can be a great solution as well for in the morning. For during the day, I think having portable snacks is key. So when we talk about nutrient-rich snacks that will keep kids fueled, I always want this carb protein combination. So that could look like a protein bar and a fruit paired together. That could look like a granola bar and beef jerky. That could look, I love trail mix for athletes and active kids. So you can do, like, buy a big bag of trail mix, and on Sundays, just make 10 or 15 little bags of them, throw them in their backpack each day. And I do beef jerky trail mix. I know it sounds crazy, but it gets a little more protein and like the savory and the salty to the crunchy and the nuts. Yeah. Just don't judge me until you try it. So things like that, you know, having different types of snacks. Like I love homemade energy bites, which is where you take like a nut butter, you need a glue. So like a nut butter, peanut butter, seed butter, honey, throw in oats, throw in either a protein powder, a collagen powder, or a non-fat dried milk powder for extra protein. And then you can get fancy with what you want to put in there. So once you have your peanut butter, almond butter, whatever, and honey base, add your oats, add your protein powder, and then you can go nuts, seeds, dried fruit. I mean, really anything that you want. These are phenomenal because you can roll them in little balls. Okay. You can double the recipe, triple the recipe. They will stay in the fridge in an air kind. And I've kept them for like 3 weeks before, so you can freeze them as well. But these are great solutions for snacks. They can be a sweet treat at lunch, quick snack for after school before practice. So these types of solutions are simple, but if you'll do them and have them ready in advance, they're really quick fuel sources for kids that give them that carbohydrate and protein and might prevent them from maybe going to a vending machine and or not eating and going to a practice or to school underfueled with low energy.
Totally. Next from, I'm assuming one of our adult followers, for a marathon right now, what are you to fuel up before, after, and even during a long run?
Yes. So as I was talking about before, when we talk about pre-exercise, you need to eat something. So the challenge on these long run days versus a race day is that typically you're not waking up quite as early as you would on a race day. So I'm actually going to start you on a long run day the night before. So if you're going to run a long run on a Saturday or a Sunday, typically when people do it, the night before, or even the day before, you would want to eat a little bit more carbohydrate. So the goal is that usually the day before a long run, you would have a shorter run. So if you up your carbohydrate intake a little bit and lower your output or what you're burning, you're able to maximize the carbohydrate stores that you have in your muscle. So unfortunately, we do not have unlimited carbohydrate stores. There's a max. So you want to try to go into a long run with those maxed out. So the way you can do that is the day before, adding a little bit more carbohydrate to your meals and snacks. You do not have to go to an all-you-can-eat pasta bar and eat all the breadsticks and all the pasta required, just a little bit extra. Then the morning of, I would do a good amount of carbohydrate with some protein. So that might be a bagel with a little bit of peanut butter and maybe a sports drink, or some type of granola bar with some peanut butter, something like that. The aligned nut butter, obviously you could use something, it sounds weird, but like beef jerky, or if you have something to mix protein powder in. But on those really long runs, you need a little more substance to hold you over. And so adding that little bit of protein to the carbohydrate is going to hold you over. And then typically I recommend doing like a sports drink or something like that to give you some extra carbohydrate, electrolytes, and then of course fluid as you get going. And then depending on how long that run is, if it's going to be over 90 minutes, you really have to start supplementing with carbohydrate. Okay. So we typically recommend about 30 to 60 grams of carbohydrate per hour. You have to practice with this. And so I usually tell people, like, get used to drinking a little bit of a sports drink or eating like a sports food. So like goos, chews, gels, beans, blocks, etc. And really, if it's going to be a long run, every 30 minutes trying to get a little bit in there, you will have to train your gut to eat and drink things with calories and then while you're moving, because your blood flow is like in your arms and your legs. It's not really in your digestive tract. So if you can start practicing with some of those foods, that's going to be really important. And then post-workout, we don't want to talk about post-workout yet, but whether you're doing a long run or training, post-workout nutrition is key. And you want to get that nutrition in as soon as possible, carbs and protein. So a lot of times I recommend like chocolate milk because it's quick, easy, and everyone loves it. Could be a smoothie made with milk, yogurt, or protein powder, and then like fruit and honey or something like that. Could be a ready-to-drink shake that has carbs and protein. So the key is as soon as possible, for sure within 45 minutes, you want to get carb and protein because that's going to start the recovery process. I like to say recovery has 3 R's: replenish, rebuild, rehydrate. Replenish, you need carbs. Rebuild, you need protein. Rehydrate, you need fluid. So chocolate milk, smoothies, and ready-to-drink shakes do all of those, right? Because they're giving you carbs, protein, and fluid. And they're a pretty simple solution if you don't necessarily feel hungry right after that workout. So if you are training for a marathon, a triathlon, this is a big time of year. I live in Dallas, Texas. We have a big marathon in December. And I've noticed there's lots of them at that time of year. So really focus on fueling up before so that you have the energy that you need, hydrating and adding carbohydrate on those long runs, and then that post-workout nutrition. I think I actually told you about this, Marissa, but in my business, which is, you can check it out, it's the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. We're actually doing a sports nutrition marathon program. So it's going to be an 8-week program starting October 18th to help people know how to fuel. What do you eat before? How do you strategize eating in between? How do you recover when you're sore, when you're worn out? How do you plan, race strategies? So if you're a person that's training, check it out because that could be a good resource where you're getting personalized worksheets to plug in your own numbers so that you can individualize it to you.
Very cool. All of that is so interesting. And this video as well will live on Eat This Not That.
Fantastic.
See yourself running a marathon in the future. Definitely save it. That was so informative. Okay, cool. The next question we have, we're going back to young athletes.
Okay.
Say, I'm a parent to a young athlete. What healthy snacks and drinks can I bring for their team to enjoy during and after practices?
Okay, fantastic. Yes, halftime, in between games, whatever that is. So some general rules of thumb I mentioned. I think for general snacks, trail mixes, energy bites, those types of things are great. Now, when we start talking about in between, like in the middle of a practice or in the middle of a game this time of year, we think football, volleyball, soccer, those types of games. the goal really is threefold. You want carbohydrate so that it can really replenish energy stores. You don't necessarily want super high fiber carbohydrate because they need the energy like now. I don't need it to take forever to digest. So things like fruit, bananas are always a good solution, granola bars, and then things even like pretzels, I would say goldfish, animal crackers, whatever it is the teens like. I've worked in high school sports for over 17 years. I worked in college sports for 11 years, and I go with what they like. The other thing is you really want salt. So when you are exercising and playing a sport, you are burning off carbohydrate and sweating out salt and fluid. So you need salt to help replenish what's being lost. So from that perspective, things like goldfish and pretzels and trail mix and beef jerky and things like that are salty. And so that's going to help provide some of that salt that's being sweated out. Then of course, plenty of fluid, water or sports drink during a game, during a practice. Obviously water is fine, but really when it comes to rehydrating, to me, sports drinks are a better solution for right around that workout and during the training session or game, because you're getting carbohydrate, electrolytes, and fluid. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of parents always kind of get a little nervous. They're like, but they have sugar. I know. It's weird, but in the world of sports nutrition, sugar and salt are your friends around a workout. Okay. Now, I always encourage parents, it's called sports drink. Drink while playing sport. It's not a math drink, a movie drink, or a couch drink. It's a sports drink. So around a sport or during a halftime, that is going to be essential to give athletes fluid, carbohydrates, and electrolytes. So those can be great fluids. When we talk about after, I just mentioned this a minute ago, but again, you want carb and protein as soon as possible. So chocolate milk is a great solution. You can buy the little bottles, or you can just pour, I go to lots of schools, they just have gallons of it and pour it in glasses. They're ready, and it's affordable. So that's one of the things, like for schools, booster clubs can buy that and help, provide that to athletes after a game or whatnot. But you can also do the ready to drink shakes. You can do smoothies, or just like an energy bar, like a protein bar that has carbs and protein and a banana. So there's lots of ways that the job can get done. It really depends a little bit on budget, convenience, and what you have available. Like if you don't have refrigeration available, don't bring chocolate milk to a football game. If you do, then fantastic. So some of those things you have to kind of judge. Fruit's always a great solution for hydration and extra carbs, but usually you're looking at carbohydrate and salt and fluid during a game or workout, and then after, still carbohydrate, salt, and fluid, and protein. So that's what you're aiming for there.
Perfect. Next question is, what do I need to eat or drink before a workout to avoid leg cramps?
Okay, good. Good term, good like swing. So when we talk about muscle cramping, it's kind of a twofold scenario, because you have muscle cramps that people just might experience generally, and then you have exercise-induced muscle cramps. So when we talk about exercise-induced muscle cramps, they're usually like 1, 2, or 3 things, or a combination of them. Number one, fatigue. Sometimes when muscles are just really tired, they will start to cramp. So that's one problem. Number 2, dehydration, not getting enough fluid. So as you aren't getting enough fluid, that can cause muscle cramps. And then number 3, electrolytes. So I was just talking about sodium or salt. So usually exercise-induced muscle cramps are one of those problems, or a combination of all of them. So we want you drinking fluid, but you have to have electrolytes. Now, usually you ask any athlete in the world, well, what do you do when you're muscle cramping? They tell you eat a banana. The reality is you actually need salt. Yes, you should have a diet that's rich in potassium, because that can help decrease the risk of overall muscle cramps. Okay. So we think potassium, you can think bananas, that's the most common, but think strawberries, milk, and yogurt are very high in potassium. Avocado tops the charts. Beans are high in potassium. Lots of foods you don't think about. Dates have a good amount of potassium. So lots of produce, and then I would say milk, yogurt, and especially avocados. So you want to put potassium in your eating pattern on a regular basis. But around exercise, sodium or salt is really what you want. So the average person loses 3 times the amount of sodium as potassium in their sweat. And if you're a salty sweater, so maybe like I have on a black shirt, if I went to go exercise in this and sweated a lot and then later there's like white on it, that might be a sign that I'm a salty sweater. Or if like you get flaky stuff on your skin, salty sweater, which means you're probably losing even more sodium. So you want to really look to A, start your workout with extra sodium on board. B, make sure you're adding electrolytes. So if you have trouble with muscle cramping, I would encourage you to eat more salt before your workout. So maybe that's actually salting food in your pre-workout, pre-game meal. That can also obviously be adding electrolytes to, you know, there's lots of brands out there that you can just put in fluids, or you could use a sports drink. Different sports drinks have different amounts of electrolytes. So if you have trouble, look for one that's higher in electrolytes. And then I would consistently drink the sports beverages that have electrolytes in them throughout your training session to make sure that you are getting enough electrolytes and fluid. The fluid recommendation is about 5 to 10 ounces every 20 minutes of consistent exercise. So you could think of that as like a bottle, like 16 to 20 ounce bottle over the course of an hour. If you're a heavy cramper, that bottle should have electrolytes in it. And that should, I'm not going to say it always prevents, but it should help decrease the risk. You know, we're doing this today, we're going into fall, so temperature should come down a little bit. I live in Texas, it's been a little hot. And so when it's hotter and more humid outside, you're gonna run the risk of dehydrating more. If you train early in the morning and you just haven't drank as much, you're going to run the risk of dehydrating more. So just really, in those types of scenarios, looking at trying to get extra fluid and extra electrolytes will set you up to decrease the risk for cramping.
Fantastic. The final question that we received today, I've heard that you want your insulin to spike pre and post workout. Is that true? And then if so, I guess, what is the best way to do this?
Okay, so everyone is going, or everyone that doesn't know is like, what is insulin? Why should it spike? All right, so let's do real quick science lesson for this. So insulin is the hormone that is produced when you eat carbohydrates. So if you eat a granola bar, cereal, rice, pasta, fruit, pick your carbohydrate, your body produces something called insulin. And I want you to think of insulin as like a key, and it basically goes and unlocks a cell and allows the sugar carbohydrate in your blood to get into the cell to give your body energy. Okay, so think about it. Look, that's the way it is. Works like a little key, opens the door, and little carbohydrate can go in the muscle. Muscle has energy. Yay, everybody wins. So I'm going to talk to both pre and post workout. So pre-workout, if you eat something, your body will naturally produce insulin so that you can, again, like once it's digested in the blood, move that sugar out of the blood into the muscle. You don't necessarily want an insulin spike right before a training session or game. Here's why. When you exercise, another science lesson, you produce a hormone called epinephrine. It's kind of in the world of adrenaline, that's called epinephrine. And epinephrine, like, is produced when you're exercising. And its goal is to pull sugar and fat out of the blood into the muscle cell for energy. So think of epinephrine as doing the same thing insulin does, but during exercise. Okay. So during exercise, when you eat something, you actually don't produce insulin because like exercise inhibits insulin production because you have this other little guy, epinephrine, doing the same thing. So you actually don't want to spike right before because epinephrine is about to come in, and then it's like a double whammy effect because you have two things. The insulin's already in the blood. You have two things pulling sugar out of the blood. So relatively speaking, eating with the recommendations that I gave you in question 1, 2 to 4 hours before, giving it time to digest will allow you to be fueled and that energy or that sugar be out of the blood into the muscle cell. Now, post-workout, insulin is your friend because, again, it opens the cell and gets energy in. So when we talk about a post-workout scenario, that's why we want people to eat as soon as possible. So I like to describe exercise as breakdown mode. The fancy science word is catabolism. But breakdown mode means your body is breaking things down for energy so that the muscle can use it to fuel your exercise, okay? Post-workout, your body goes in, when you eat something or drink something that has calories, your body goes into anabolism or building recovery mode. So yay, we want that because we want nutrition into the cell to replenish energy stores, replenish carbohydrate stores, and then also rebuild and repair lean muscle mass. You need those amino acids in there to do that. So after you stop exercising, no more epinephrine is produced. So when you eat or drink something with calories, protein bar, chocolate milk, smoothie, ready to drink shake, whatever it is, your body will then produce insulin to, again, let the sugar and the little amino acids into the muscle cell to go do their job. What's interesting is that post-exercise, your cells or your muscle cells are actually more sensitive to glucose, which is sugar, and amino acid uptake. So it's this really interesting thing your body naturally does. It's more likely to take them up for recovery anyways. But when you eat something or drink something with calories, your body will produce insulin. And so that spike is important. It's kind of a relative term, but producing insulin is important by eating carbohydrate and protein so that you're able to get sugar and amino acids into the blood. You get more insulin production with carbohydrate. So there's a lot of people think they only need protein post-workout. You want both. Okay. So you want the chocolate milk, you want the fruit smoothie, or like the energy bar that has carbohydrate in it, but that carb protein combination will cause insulin production, which is going to help you get energy out of the blood into the muscle cell for recovery.
Awesome. So interesting. This has been so informative across the board. Thank you to everyone.
Yes.
Always such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. And hey, I didn't mention this, Marissa, but I have a podcast now, free podcast, and it's all on sports nutrition. So it's called The Sports Nutrition Playbook. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, Google, as well as on my website, thesportsnutritionplaybook.com. But it's a free podcast. We do 2 episodes a month. And one is just me talking on a sports nutrition topic. And then I've brought in strength coaches, athletic trainers. I have a dietitian that does stuff with sleep. That's coming out in November. So it's a great place if you are a parent or just a person interested in sports nutrition to listen to, get more information. And then if you need individual coaching services, you're running a marathon and need a program that has accountability and coaching, you can check out the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. And we have all that information there.
Fantastic. Yes. And obviously we are going live from your Instagram here. Yes. Is there anything else that everyone should follow you?
Yeah, this is me, amyg.rd. Try to put out good information, sports nutrition and overall nutrition information. Put out a blog once a week. So any way that you want to reach out, I'd love to connect with all of you and be a resource for you, both for just general education. I have a book, the Sports Nutrition Playbook. It's a little flip book. So it's designed to give you kind of like the play-by-play on sports nutrition, but in bullet points and charts and easy examples versus having to read a whole book. So you can find all that through my Instagram. You can find it again on the sportsnutritionplaybook.com. But I'd love to be a resource for you to give you the science-based side of easy fueling tips, because we need science and we need it easy to make it applicable. So that's what I'm trying to do for all of us out there that are busy, but also trying to be healthy and active.
Yes, absolutely. Well, you do it so well. Thank you so much for doing it for us here today. I hope we see you again soon on here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for joining, and thank you everyone for tuning in. If you jumped in late, this will be on Eat This Not That Instagram, so please check it out. It was wonderful. Thanks again, Amy.
Bye. Thanks so much. Have a great day.